During the 2017 general election, the Tories' publication of their manifesto marked the turning point in the campaign. Before that, the party was steaming ahead in the polls, but the catastrophic document shattered all its hope of a majority. This disastrous experience explains why Tory strategists were so nervous in the run-up to the launch of Boris Johnson's manifesto in Telford yesterday, but their anxieties were misplaced. In contrast to 2017's catalogue of self-destruction, the Prime Minister and his team have produced a solid plan for the effective governance of Britain, avoiding both overblown rhetoric and hostages to fortune. The manifesto provides sensible proposals for improving our social fabric without crippling the taxpayer and offers a clear path to Brexit. Critics might bleat about the absence of a lofty vision, as highlighted in the promises to fix potholes and abolish hospital parking charges. But this is a manifesto in the best traditions of one nation Toryism, valuing realism above ideology. The promises of substantial rises in funding for the NHS, schools, transport and police demolish the scaremongering about vicious Tory cuts, just as the pledges to increase the living wage, protect pensions, cap energy prices and cut national insurance for the low-paid make a mockery of left-wing propaganda on Tory inequality. Indeed, Boris Johnson's government has a far more convincing blueprint for maintaining public services and promoting economic growth than Jeremy Corbyn's Labour, whose fiscal extravagance and Marxist revolutionary fervour would soon ruin our country. The difference between the two main parties' manifestos could hardly be more dramatic. Where Johnson's document is pragmatic and affordable, Corbyn's represents a fantastical socialist wish list, complete with vast hikes in borrowing, taxation and expenditure. One expert estimated yesterday that for every extra £1 that the Tories plan to spend on the current budget by 2023, Labour will spend no less than £28, a sure recipe for financial meltdown. In fact, Corbyn's wildly profligate manifesto could be described as the longest bankruptcy notice in history. Johnson promises a triple lock that will mean no increases in income tax, VAT or national insurance, whereas, with his usual zeal for class war, Corbyn wants to hammer the affluent with heavy rises in income tax. Johnson will foster the enterprise culture through measures such as cuts in business taxes and support for development, whereas Corbyn will drive up corporation tax from 19 to 26%, confiscate 10% of shareholdings from all major companies and undermine workplace management by giving back the trade unions the powers they had in the strict-ridden 1970s. Johnson aims to improve the infrastructure of Britain, whereas Corbyn will waste billions on nationalising the railways, utilities and broadband network. Johnson wants firm but fair immigration controls, whereas Corbyn does not believe in strong borders at all, nor does he have any real sense of British patriotism. Yesterday, the former head of MI6 Sir Richard D. Love even described the Labour leader as a threat to national security. Above all, Johnson has a coherent, achievable Brexit policy, based on the deal he negotiated with Brussels, whereas Corbyn's stance is a shambles. On the biggest issue facing our country, he refuses to say whether he supports Leave or Remain, a ridiculous position for a potential Prime Minister. It is partly this incoherence, allied to its lack of credibility, that has led Labour to falter so badly in the present campaign. The Tories have also been helped by the undemocratic approach of Joe Swinson's Liberal Democrats, who have promised to overturn Brexit, hoovering up support from Leave voters. Boris Johnson's Conservatives are enjoying double-digit leads in the polls, while one forecaster wrote at the weekend that the party is set for a majority of 45. But there can be no room for complacency. The Tories, who have not won a parliamentary majority of more than 21 since 1987, could still be knocked off course by events such as a scandal or a sudden financial crisis. And it is still possible that tactical voting by Remain supporters could cause real damage to Johnson in the south of England. That is why the Prime Minister and his team need to devote every ounce of energy to the rest of the campaign. They had an impressive day at their manifesto launch. Now they need to carry on in the same assured spirit.